Hello, I'm Mr. YYY Man, and I'm going to be doing a new Let's Play with VU4 with the M&T, that would be Mio and Taxes 2.0 mod, and I'm doing with the version of 2.0.7, and I'm going to do it as the Empire of the Romans, also known to vanilla players and most people, or as Byzantium, the Byzantine Empire. And I thought I would, before I start, I'm gonna get right in, make an Iron Man, Roman Empire, and I figure, I go over some of the history, and I'm gonna have a little bit of a role play in my mind when I'm gonna be doing all this. Actually, outside of like role play, normally Byzantium only starts with lands like this. When the M&T 2.0 first came out, it only had lands in here. All these were separate duchies. Like this was all part of, not duchies, nations. These two were part of Thessaly, and this was a whole entire new nation called Epirus. And now they're just annexed directly into this one. Apparently, these lands aren't cored. And that has, so Albania has cores on Aberon, and Aberon, primary culture is Albanian. So a lot of changes have happened in 2.0. Some are like the pop system. The pop system is perhaps the biggest change and the most overwhelming one. There's a whole bunch of changes, but I'm going to get into that as I go along throughout this series and not, do it all, have a giant information dump at once. But, I figure while we're doing this, we take a look at it. So I have three cores that aren't mine on Gallipoli, Anilo, and Ceres. And that's all good and all. I mean, Ceres is a part of the Serbian Empire, and I don't like the Serbs. So Byzantium in 356 just came out of this really big and really horrible war called the Byzantine Civil War. It was, the country essentially splintered. Byzantium right before that, and like a couple decades before this, was called the Papalogia Renaissance or Restoration. And so the Papalog guy found Papalogos, Papalogos, the dynasty that I'm doing, were people that started over here in the Nicene area, and they went and they conquered against the Latin Empire and they beat them away, and then they sort of reformed the Byzantine Empire, and they, over a while, condensed the Byzantine Empire from this huge, sprawling empire, and condensed all the power back into Constantinople. That was shattered after the Fourth Crusade, and a lot of people say that if the Civil War hadn't happened, Byzantium could have very easily stayed as a very centralized, very condensed, very developed empire. That would have been Greece and perhaps Western Anatolia, and could have, maybe have lost, but as long as they held Gallipoli and held the Bosporus, and the crossing at Gallipoli, the Byzantine navy essentially could have held up against any fires, except maybe the large navies of Venice and Genoa. But the Byzantine Civil War happened, and it sort of shattered that, restoration of the empire, and a whole bunch of people essentially declared independence, and also declared for the throne. And what really was the really shattering thing for the Byzantine Empire was that the Serbians, the Serbian Empire, went in and just conquered an area pretty much around this size, and it essentially broke the heartlands of Byzantium. And because of that breaking, it couldn't really function. And the thing that didn't seem very big at the time, but we would later learn is a very huge thing, was that there was an earthquake around this time, I think in 356, that and during it, the Byzantine defenders left the fortress at Gallipoli, right around here, because the fortress was destroyed, and when they came back, the Ottomans had occupied it. And the Ottomans would use that as a staging ground to then go conquer Byzantine lands and just go on their Balkans conquering spree and become the large empire that we know them as today. But right now, Byzantium is surrounded by strong enemies, people who want to kill them, and has really one, must essentially expand or die. And that's what I'm going to be doing here with Byzantium. I have a force limit of up to 9. I'm going to build 3 more regiments so I can get up to that size. And then I'm going to try something risky. Very risky. I mean, the Byzantine Navy is not something... I mean, it looks small, but it ain't that small. But Byzantium has something very, very unique that gives it a lot of flexibility in the game. And that is, it has a lot of claims across pretty much all of, the core Byzantine areas. Essentially, the whole entire claims to the empire as it was before the Fourth Crusade. And so, I'm going to use these claims. I'm going to wait until 1356. And I'm going to essentially declare on Saruhan. And I'm going to essentially chain a bunch of wars, if I can, to go kill Adin, Jariman, Hamad, Menteith, and Tikke. And then I'm going to consolidate it, and then I'm going to go west. I'm going to try to reclaim all the Greek lands. I'm going to kill Ceres. And then hopefully Athens will have, as they tend to do, get out of their personal union with Sicily. And if they do, I'll be able to invade them. But let's go let the game run. Let the game run. It's up. Adding flavor to your gameplay is a game year dropped from that to that. Let me play already. Okay, so Bosphorus, the control over the Bosphorus Strait, which gives us some negative debuffs, but I essentially have 16 naval force limit and 9 military force limit. Now I expect both of those to go down while the game runs its first couple things. And so, it's startup events. And so, right now, so Byzantium has no estates. That's going to change. As the game starts to assign a bunch of estates one by one to everything. And the estates are essentially made up in 3 ways. There are 3 main estates. There are theoretically more estates. I'm gonna just say there are 3 estates that you interact with. There's a 4th one. It's called your actual state. So you have the burghers, and they're city dwellers, and the way they gain power in a province if you have a large amount of urban pops, which are built through urban gravity. Essentially, if you have a bunch of cities, they're a city, and it outweighs the poor people, the rural people. Not poor, they're not necessarily poor. They'll essentially be able to go and expand. And then lesser nobles are essentially just nobles who don't have as many privileges as greater nobles, and greater nobles are much more independent nobles. And they can be a little bit of a hassle to deal with. But hopefully Athens can get out of its thing with Sicily, so I can go and deck upon them. But I'm gonna wait until 1358 comes around, so I can go and deck upon my Sarhan and do all that, so I can go and expand. Now this has poor. Oh, well, this is just out of my corner range. So that's annoying. But essentially, I have two ways that I'm gonna have to deal with the inevitable war that I'm gonna be faced with against the Ottomans. The first one that I can do is I can try to trap them in levels. You know. And that's not a bad idea. I mean, it's a very respectable idea. You know, build a larger navy than the Ottomans and then go trap them. I respect that immensely, actually. But I'm going to go for the. I mean, I'll do that if I have to, but I'm going to try to go for the much less scummy way of trying to fight the actual war. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to try. I'm going to try to siege down Gallipoli as much as possible, and essentially sacrifice the lands I have in Western Anatolia to the Ottomans. And once that happens, I might be able to take Gallipoli, and then maybe take Izmit. And if I can take both of those, I'll be perfectly happy in the war. You know, if I can siege down Gallipoli, there's this thing called surrender progress and siege timers. If that happens, it essentially gives to you province after a long enough period of time. Oh, it's Oberon. One of my allies. They're not, but they could very easily be allied. They've already reached their alliance limit because they're allied to Thessaly. But I could easily. I don't want to kill Thessaly. They have a truce with me. So the Ottomans have a truce that will go away in 1359. And once that happens, if I haven't gotten stronger, the Ottomans will deck upon me. And they will probably win. Unless somehow I can trap them on levels or whatnot. But it's going to be really hard unless I trap them there to win the war. And that's the problem. And so what I'm going to try to do is expand. And hopefully at that point I'll be able to, you know, expand enough that the Ottomans will worry about other people before me. And if I can do that, I will be able to expand and be strong enough and kill the fuckers, because that's always one of the most hard things you got with the Byzantines, or pretty much only the Byzantines. Very rarely do you have this problem with anyone else, where you essentially have expand or die. I mean, I guess it's always true for every, like, I guess smaller nations, but not to the same extent. I mean, you don't have the big evil Ottomans waiting there to kill you. That's my friend. He wants to play PUBG with me, and I mean, he's really good at it, and I'll be streaming that on my Twitch, which there should be a link in down below. Yeah, and I'm sorry for the interruption. Ooh, it looks like I gained a transport. I'll be able to full occupy them, and that's the thing. I actually want to full occupy them because there's loot. You may have noticed that. So there are two ways you can get loot. One, that you can get through the province walls, which is built, you know, from the taxable ducats that you build upon. And that's and it's the most easy way to get loot. If you're max looting everyone, that's generally the first things that you're going to get. Let me check something. Yeah, so you don't like them, and they don't have 30 relations. So I'm going to declare on Jeremiah instead of M&T's hide. Oh, no, but they're guaranteed by the Ottomans. So I'm not going to do that. What I am going to do is, I'm going to deck upon M&T's. And heavily encourage looting. Because I don't expect, the reason why I'm heavily looting this, and I'm sorry, you can also get it from just ruining the infrastructure, the amount of ducats you have in infrastructure, roads, buildings, that stuff. And the reason why I'm doing that, and why I'm going full on, like, I don't care if you burn down the buildings or anything, is because I don't think, realistically, that I'm going to be able to hold this land against the threat that is the Ottoman hordes. Now I may be able to do so in the second war, but in the first war it will very much be something that I cannot do. Now the Ottomans are already starting to siege me down here. That's not good, but it's not as bad as one would think, because I essentially only want one province off them, but I can easily get more provinces off them. The Ottomans are gonna maybe staff fight me. That might be that probably go horrible. Yep, I trapped the Ottomans up there, which is, you know, perfectly respectable thing to do. But I can very easily now get Jeremiah out of this war. Now I'm gonna first loot down their lands first, of course. And they can't leave because stuck on. Oh man, I'm not gonna get Jeremiah out of this war just yet. Or actually, yes, I'm actually gonna get Jeremiah out of this war. I'm gonna embrace the reputation, not because diplo points are so cheap, but because stability is so fucking expensive in M&T. It is extremely expensive in M&T. But, you know, that's it. So we're gonna view the loot pool. I currently have around 165 ducats in my loot pool. Now I'm not gonna be able to get all that in my loot pool. I'm gonna be able to get some of it back. Once the war ends, I'll show you what happens with like the loot pool and the loot POLL management. But that'll be it. So they're at war, historically neutral, they're not the same religion, they don't trust us, not very strong. Okay, that's annoying. What about the Venetians? They're at war, they're historically neutral, and they hate us. That's never a good place to be, you know, people hating you. But I believe we'll be able to overcome our differences and kill the Ottomans. There is more that unites us than that which divides us. And as such, we will start going and attacking the mentees. Now, I'm going to do this in 30-minute segments. this is also going to be my first Let's Play. I'm going to take everything I can off them. And a coalition will form, but if I wait a year, essentially the coalition won't. And I'll be able to take all of it in. Now, hopefully the Ottomans is going to start doing its big thing in which it starts to really kill all these other people. And at that point, those people to be too weak in order for them to very effectively attack me. And with all that, I will be able to actually survive. Hopefully. It's not for sure, but it's better than what I got right now. Oh, I love those events. So, I have diplomatic ideas right now. Diplomatic ideas isn't utter shit. It's pretty shit. Because like, best thing that it gives is -10 diplomatic costs and lower impact from stability. So, which essentially allows you to do a little bit more, and that plus when you improve relations is always nice. But culture ideas is better because you get tax, and you get institution spread, and you also get idea and tech cost reductions. Now, that might not seem, you know, all that great, you know, but you don't make that much money, and it also really does help with pretty much everything, especially that institution. Like, everything here is good. There is not a bad thing in this whole entire you know, idea group that is bad. Especially because institutions are not only more numerous. You get 2 more new institutions. Well, technically, yeah, only 1 more in total, but 2 new institutions, with that being meritocracy and banking, and colonialism being gone, and then they're a lot harder to spread. Essentially, you need to have centers of trade. That's how you spread institutions now, and you have to also have pretty much a big enough centers of trade. But let's go over, and I told you I would talk to you about spoils of war once they actually happen. Now it's actually happened. So, from the bounties of stacked troops, I don't even know which one I picked. Probably the first one, which was only 1/10. 1/10 gives me stability points. That's how I also gain stability, you know. But those other 9/10s are also going to my people. You know, it's spread across my whole entire nation. And so that's always good. And so once I reach 150 stability points, I will gain a stability. And I can use that stability to get rid of privileges. And privileges are really, really bad. And Byzantium has a lot of them. Yeah, I have about 28 plus 16 is 34 privileges. That's a lot more than the then it's a lot more. Let's just put it that way. And essentially, what privileges give you, if you see greater noble corruption, lesser noble corruption, burgher corruption, they will start to give you corruption. But corruption will also tick down, so it's more of, it will increase the natural resting point of your corruption, which is never something you want to have be done to you. And I'm trying to correlate these things. Overextension is also really harsh now because of manpower, you lose manpower, and you also lose tax income. So, what I'm essentially forced to do right now is expand very, very fast in order to beat the Ottomans' expansion. I essentially have to expand not only faster than the Ottoman, but also expand into better land, which essentially means coastal Anatolia. I'm going to declare on Adin But I'm first going to check my AE. I have around 40 AE. Which essentially means I can't really expand anymore into, you know, Anatolia, because all the fucking Anatolian miners are gonna gang up and kill me. I mean, if the Ottomans alone can already pretty much wipe the floor with me, those Anatolian miners can definitely do so. So, what I'm going to do now is, one, I can essentially afford to run my whole entire navy, my whole entire government at full maintenance, you know, with my army maintenance. Well, almost, but it's pretty close. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go north, and I'm going to try to kill Bulgarians, and hopefully I can take enough of the Bulgarians' land, at which point they won't try to kill me. That's Greek and Orthodox. That should overwhelmingly, you know, not have much unrest. See, you can't core places as long as martial law is pending, and if there's unrest there. And that's, you know, luckily I did it before all the, you know, all the little ticks that would cause unrest to happen. Flagged. Decorate generalships. Essentially, so what privileges do, they also modify certain things. So for every single land that in privilege, I get 50% that is owned by the greater nobles. I get 50% less manpower, 30% less tax, and 30% less, 50% less tax production, but 30% less tax. And that production would be lack of grain. And also all production value, and now that production value is also made by silks, and it's a very interesting thing, because that is an urban good. So there are two types of goods. There are rural goods, which are the goods you see on the goods produced map, and they are influenced by farm estates and plantations, coupled with the amount of rural pops. And then there's urban population, which makes urban goods like silk. And so what I'm essentially forced to do right now, because the lack of money and the ability to pretty much do anything, is I'm going to be forced to go on massive amounts of, expansion. Now, I currently lack a lot of manpower because of, of overextension and all that. So I'm going to go and deck upon Bulgaria. Bulgaria, Lithuania, get to me. They like them, so they'll get through Kiev, and Kiev is friendly enough with Bulgaria, and so essentially Lithuania's army will be able to get to me. That's always good. Yay. Because essentially Bulgaria is very, very, very weak beginning. They have huge. They're almost as in as bad of a situation as Byzantium is, and because they have all these really bad privileges and events and all these other things that just make it really hard for them to expand or do anything. And oh my god, there's a succession war between Poland versus Hungary, Naples. Oh man, that's an interesting succession war. Is that because Hungary had d'Anjou? Yes, that's what it is. Hungary starts with a d'Anjou as a leader, And because of that, if they die immediately, it's Louis the Great, so he's like a 666. Amazing ruler. But if he dies, essentially everything goes to shit. So now I'm essentially just stuck. I could go against the Knights, but the Knights are allied to Venice. Go against Cyprus if Cyprus wasn't guaranteed by Venice. Venice is sort of cock blocking me pretty hard. Normally, Naples actually takes an interest in southern Greece and guarantees something, but they aren't, and I think that's mainly because got war with Poland. Now, I'm just trying to find a way out of this. I could deck upon Theodoro. Theodoro is a vassal of the White Horde. So I'm not ready to go take on the White Horde, but I'm ready to take on Trebizond, which isn't allied to anyone. It's isolated land that probably won't get sacked, and it's fairly good land too, and it's also in a decent trade node. Yeah, I'm gonna actually deck up on them. They got linen and everything. They're great. I'm gonna deck up on them. Did I build up to 6 galleys? But I'm only going to let them loot instead of strongly encouraging looting. Because, one, I don't really, I wouldn't get as much land because you naturally loot more if you're wrong culture and also wrong religion. But these are right culture, right religion, so there's no reason to go and try and start looting. I'm also gonna see if I get a better leader. I don't. I just straight up don't. But he is a better. Yeah, he is a better ruler because I not only get the better trade with entrepreneur, I also get one more diplo point, and that might sound sort of stupid, but it can really matter on a diplo point here or there because that's 12 diplo points a year. And if your ruler lasts for 10 years, that's 120 diplo points. I mean, would you turn down 120 diplo points? I wouldn't turn down 120 diplo points. But that might be you, and that might be me. You know, it's differences between people. But that's a level 4 fort, which is going to require, unlike a normal vanilla EU4, that will only require 8,000 men instead of, you know, what would it be, 12. But I'm going to essentially just have to go. Now I'm stuck here. I could give them the privileges. You know, gain 20% efficiency and everything, but essentially they would take all my trade power out. And I would also gain 6 diplo points. 30%, that would be a significant portion. And how long does this last? For 10 years. Say 30, that would be 1.6. That's 1.6 times 12 times 10. Just give me a second to math this out. It's 200 ducats. It's not worth it. 100 ducats is not worth 6 diplo points. Almost never is it worth 6 diplo points. But I'm gonna end that there. I promised Super Drew I would go help him out. I'm gonna be streaming with him. So if you want to see more, let me know. Leave a like, subscribe, share it. It really helps out the channel. And I will see you later. Have a nice day.